More news coming in. The political fight over the 1984 Anti-Sikh riots and Operation Blue Star is getting uglier, with Congress leader from Punjab, Captain Amarinder Singh, now quote-unquote exposing Punjab Chief Minister Prakash Singh Badal's role during that entire period, accusing Badal of trying to make political capital out of a sensitive situation and blaming him for various acts of omission and commission before and after Operation Blue Star. Amarinder Singh has said that Badal ran away from the situation and hid himself in his farmhouse in Baspur. He asks why Badal is raking up the issue now only for political gains when he did nothing when the operation at the Golden Temple was on. In fact, Amarinder Singh has also questioned the silence of Prakash Singh Badal on the involvement of several BJP and RSS cadre in the violence against Sikhs. He also asked Badal why he didn't speak out against the massacre of close to 35,000 innocent Sikhs across Punjab by terrorists. Headlines today's Manaman Singh China now joins us on the phone line from Chandigarh. Very important statement that Amarinder Singh has given. First, let's talk about the bit that he said about Prakash Singh Badal. Any reaction from the Akalis yet, Manaman?
Well, no, the Akalis have not yet reacted, Padmaja, but we will get the reaction of the Chief Minister in a short while from now. He has in the past also made these allegations against Mr. Badal, but Captain Amarinder Singh's allegations were always swept aside. But in light of this fresh controversy over Operation Blue Star, I'm quite sure that this is going to kick up a lot of dust, especially now that the Captain Amarinder Singh has also given out the names of some Congress, BJP and RSS leaders who he says he has heard of being involved in the 84 riots.
And essentially, Manaman, this is only an attempt to try and shield Rahul Gandhi, because Amarinder Singh also goes on to stress the point about how there is no point in asking an apology of Rahul Gandhi for the 84 riots and Operation Blue Star.
Yes, he makes a very interesting comparison between Mr. Badal's son, Sukhbir Badal, who is now the Deputy Chief Minister, and Rahul Gandhi. He says, just as Sukhbir Badal cannot be blamed for anything which happened in Punjab in the militancy because he was studying in the USA at the time, similarly, Rahul Gandhi cannot be blamed for what happened in 1984 riots because he was just 13 at that point of time. And he also, Padmaja, very importantly, goes on to blame Prakash Singh Badal for inciting Sikh soldiers in the army to mutiny. And he says that it was at his behest that a number of Sikh soldiers revolted and eventually spent nearly 18 years in jail.
In fact, let me also get a word in, Manaman, from our correspondent Jugal Purohit, who is standing by. It's a very sensitive issue that has been raked up by Captain Amarinder Singh, Jugal, and in particular when he talks about the effect that it had on the Indian Army. Like Manaman said, that he's spoken about how it was Prakash Singh Badal who was behind the incitement to Sikh troops.
Absolutely, Padmaja. In fact, coming from Captain Amarinder Singh, who of course, as we are aware, was a part of the Indian Army, though he had a very brief career in Indian Army. Of course, it does carry some degree of significance, but one does understand that by saying what he has said, in which he not just trains his guns on his opposition in Punjab, but he also speaks about the involvement of several BJP and RSS members in the 1984 riots. It is an aspect of the ugly, unfortunate incident which is not rather spoken about too often, but in this attempt, Amarinder Singh, of course, trying to bring attention also onto that aspect and trying to ensure that the blame for the 1984 riots is shared between the two major parties and not just remains confined to the Congress, because as we are aware that in the public discourse it is the Congress party and the Congress party alone which has taken the blame. But in this situation, while he does admit that he heard the names of some of the Congress leaders from the people in the refugee camps, it doesn't obviously go on to substantiate those claims, but he said, I also heard that there were BJP and RSS members who were involved in the riots and FIRs filed against them as well. So it's a very clever political move, wherein he's conceded to some hearsay, but has also tried to use this attempt at training his guns on the BJP and the RSS.
Putting Badal in a spot, asking him why he's quiet about the involvement of men from his alliance party, the BJP, in the violence against Sikhs. Thanks very much, Jugal and Manaman, for joining us.